we always had youth revivals in our church.
Well,
and the young people stepped in and took the place of the staff of the church, the pastor, the youth pastor, the music director, everybody. And we played those parts that week.
They would elect
we would
role
nominate.
models. They would elect a pastor.
Yeah. And so I so wanted James to be a part of that. But I knew how bashful he was. Can you believe it? This man was bashful. But anyway, I so wanted him to love the fact of just being involved with church activities. I wanted him to get involved. And so I got the young people together and I said, let's elect James as youth pastor. And so he did not know this. And so I was so excited. And when we did elect them, he wasn't very happy with me because that meant you had to sit on the platform.
I had to sit on the platform, yeah.
You had to sit by the youth pastor, the youth evangelist that week. You had he had to introduce him every night, and that was just so foreign to what he had ever done. But I look back and I think, this was God's plan. Even further than I even knew, so much further. And the week went on, and Friday night came, and you tell them what happened.
Well, God called me to preach. I mean, he just said, I want you to be an evangelist. I'm sitting there listening to this 16-year-old evangelist named Daniel Vestal, who had been preaching since he was 12. And I said, you know, God, how would I make a living? And God said to me, I'm just standing on the platform, how would I live? And I've been poor for 10 years, total poverty. I sure didn't want to be poor, and I figured preachers are poor. And I said, how would I live? He said, well, where's your faith? And I said, it's all in you. And I floated down off that platform. I grabbed the preacher's hand. I said, God's called me to be an evangelist. Well, he announced it to the church. And I'm telling you, they were in shock. They literally said, we thought God was calling someone else, and you overheard the call. But the point is, I know he called me. And I'm telling you, Betty, I was a changed person. In 3 days, I was preaching with authority and power that I have preached with for 60 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so we began to go to every meeting we could find because he really wanted to grow in the Lord. And I felt like I was just kind of along for the ride because I really didn't understand that relationship that he had with God. And then this night came where he said, he's as real to me as you are sitting next to me. And I thought, dear God, I don't know you like that, but I want to. And you took me home from that date, and I fell on my knees by my bed, and I said, God, I want to know you like that. And I stayed up all night talking to Jesus. Went to church that next morning.
The next morning, you taught a junior girls Sunday school class. Then you went to the choir, sang in the choir like you did, and then you and your sister walked up to the pulpit, and they sang a duet before the pastor preached. She went and sat back down. What happened at the end?
Wow. And so the pastor gave the invitation. And I was the first one down there on my knees saying, Jesus, I accept you for the first time in my life. I've gone to church, I've studied about you, I've known about you, but I haven't known you. And I receive you into my heart. I walked over to the pastor, who's the one that James lived with, and I said, Brother Hal, I just accepted Jesus over there. And he said, Betty, what do you mean? You're the best girl in our church. I said, I don't care. I just accepted Jesus. And it was different from that day forward.